Soos ek genoem het, saam met my in die ateljee vandag is Vivian Malema en sy is die direkteur van Biodiversiteits-opvoeding en Openbare Betrokkenheid by SANBI. Vivian, welcome to Groot Plaas. It's so nice having you here.
Good morning and thank you, Mia.
What is the importance of youth thinking about careers in the biodiversity sector?
Well, first of all, Mia, I think the biodiversity sector is not one of those commonly known sectors. When young people think about careers, they think of mainstream careers such as medicine, teaching, and the like. Biodiversity is not well known. So it is really our job to try and promote the sector.
Absolutely.
So that we can attract young people into it. Because as you know, everything in life depends on biodiversity and good management of biodiversity. So I think it's very important that we get more and more young people working into this sector so that everything can prosper.
And the amount of unemployed youth, I mean, it's staggering to think about it. And I told you now, it almost feels like it's the most logic step to make the link between unemployment, youth, and the biodiversity sector.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the stats say that more than 70% of young people are unemployed. We know that amongst that 70%, some of them are graduates in biodiversity and in environmental management. So as a sector, we then came together and conceptualized a program called Groen Sebenza, so that through Groen Sebenza, we can actually get the young people working. And the employment of young people is critical not only to biodiversity conservation, but to the economy as a whole.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I'm very interested in Groen Sebenza. Tell me about the program.
Okay. So Groen Sebenza, we're calling it Groen Sebenza Phase 2 because it's not the first initiative that we have implemented in the biodiversity environmental sector. Groen Sebenza Phase 2 really it's about a skills development program. And through this program, what we intend to do is to bring on board 1,050 graduates, unemployed graduates, into the sector.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And it's a 3-year program. It is funded to the tune of 300 million rand by the Department of Environment, Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment.
Yeah.
The intention is to incubate these young people for at least more than 2 years, where they will be allocated a mentor, and through mentorship, they will then be trained, they will be developed so that they can acquire the necessary skills to be able to perform in the biodiversity sector.
What skills are you focusing on?
The sector has identified priority skills, skills that include GIS, planning, research, stewardship, and so on. So all these young people that we are going to be recruiting in this program will be aligned to the priority skills that have been identified by the environmental sector as critical, as in short supply. So we will bring in those young people, we will pair them with a mentor, and on a daily basis they will report for duty. And as they report for duty, the mentor and the manager will be taking them through what does it mean to be a biodiversity practitioner, so that we bridge the gap between education and the world of work.
Absolutely.
As you know, as young people are at the university, they tend to do things theoretically.
Absolutely.
And when they get to the job, they are not quite ready. At least the research that we did with employers, that's what it told us. So this Groen Sebenza program is a bridging into work, so that by the time the 2.5, 3 years ends, the young people are actually able to perform and are able to do the work. Yeah.
Just shortly before we go to break, what does it mean to be a biodiversity practitioner?
It's a lot. It means a lot. I think first of all, it's about the values that you hold as a young person. I think there needs to be a stronger connection between your values and caring for the environment.
Absolutely.
And when we say environment, I think we need to be very clear that we're not only talking about plants and animals, but human beings are central to that definition of that, because as much as we get all the services from the environment, it's people who actually get to benefit a lot from those services. But if those services are actually destroyed, it's actually the people who will suffer most. So to be a biodiversity professional and a practitioner It's about really being connected to nature, to the environment, and being committed to actually educate, do something about the management of environment, So that's really what it means. And there are various specialists. I mean, you can be a planner, you can be an environmental educator like myself, where you work with communities, you raise awareness and things like that. So there are many, many other fields that young people can join in.
We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes more. Bly asseblief ingeskakel. Steeds saam met my in die ateljee is Vivian Malema en sy is die direkteur van Biodiversiteits-opvoeding en Openbare Betrokkenheid by SANBI. Vivian, this money has been allocated now, and the idea is, it's such a beautiful idea to link unemployed graduates with biodiversity sector. But this is not the first one. You say it's the Groen Sebenza, it's phase 2. So it's built on the success of the first one. How did that go? I mean, what were some of the success stories that you can tell out of that?
Yeah. So we got the funding for Groen Sebenza 1 from National Treasury through the program called Jobs Fund. And the target that was set for ourselves was that we need to recruit 800 young people. One of the great successes of Groen Sebenza 1 was that we managed to recruit more than 900 young people.
That's wonderful.
Into that program. And what is most impressive is that after the funding period had ended, because it was also a 3-year program, it ended around 2015, this biodiversity environmental sector was able to create more than 600 permanent jobs for young people.
Great.
So it means all the 900 young people that we took did not find themselves back exactly where they started. They were absorbed in permanent jobs. But the other important thing is that it got the sector to continue working together around skills development in this time. We saw the growth of mentors in the sector because the program offered a mentorship training for these people. We saw the sector partners collaborating on programs. We saw even the Groen Sebenza model being replicated in many organizations.
That's great.
So I think there is a lot of success that came out of Groen Sebenza 1, but I think the most important one is the fact that more than 600 permanent jobs were created in the sector.
I always love the idea of a mentorship situation where somebody with the knowledge and the passion literally gives it over to a younger person. So how is that going to work? I mean, how's the willingness there? Because we've got a lot of educated people. Are people involved?
People are certainly involved. What we have made sure of is that when we're recruiting the host organizations where young people are going to be hosted, we very directly ask the question from the organization, do you have a mentoring culture in your organization?
It's so important.
And that signals the first thing. Much as an organization cannot have the know-how, but if they have the willingness to mentor, and if they have a mentoring culture, we are able to bring them on board because those mentors will be trained. And even if they did not know how to mentor, they will be coached how to do that so that they can do it. I think most of the time we have the technical skills, but how to, in a way that the young people feel integrated and welcomed into the center. That might not be something that comes naturally to a professional. And this is why it's important that as a program we train up mentors so that they can do a good job. The intention here, Mia, is that the young people that we bring into this sector, as much as possible, we need to retain them because this sector needs those skills.
Yes. If you take a step back and you look out of the eyes of your professional capacity, what more needs to be done in the biodiversity sector in South Africa? I mean, where do we stand and what more needs to be done?
I think we are on the right path, Mia. We are, policy-wise, I think we are okay. We are participating internationally where we need to be participating. But when it comes to skills development specifically, I think we need to accelerate the bringing in of the young people into the sector. We need to change organizational cultures so that the young people feel welcomed. When we did research a few years ago, the young people said they can't identify with this sector.
The gap is too big.
Yeah, they said, well, it's a sector where people wear khaki uniform and they're wearing epaulets and all they do is issue fines. you know, whether you go get firewood or whatever the case may be. So they didn't identify with it. So I think it is our job within the sector as practitioners to actually change that perception that young people have about the biodiversity sector. As they come in, we need to be more welcoming. We need to share our skills with them so that they feel that, oh, I was wrong about the sector. I can actually make a living out of the sector, not only from a monetary point of view, but in terms of contribution that they can make as young people.
When we look at biodiversity, it seems like such a big, complex word and concept. Why is biodiversity in South Africa so important?
It is very critical. I think we are one of those countries that are very, very diverse.
Yes.
Whether from an animal point of view, whether from a plant point of view. But, you know, as a social scientist, for me, what is critical, it's centering people in all of this. As I said earlier, it's not about preservation, don't touch. It's not about conservation, putting up fences and keeping people out. It is about understanding the interaction between people and the natural environment.
Yes.
Locating people at the center of it says that people need to know and understand that their life and their livelihoods come from this natural environment. It is in their best interest to look out after it. Because if they don't, they are the first to be affected. Animals can always adapt.
Absolutely.
They can move somewhere else and whatever.
Yes.
But what happens to us as people? There's only one planet that we can live and survive in. So it is in our best interest to actually take care of these environments.
We've got a few seconds left. Any final thoughts?
My final thoughts is that I would like to invite government departments, private sector, NGOs to be host organizations in this Groen Sebenza program. SANBI has advertised the expression of interest on its website, where we are asking host organizations, come on board, indicate how many young people you will host. So we don't want to do it alone, and we cannot do it alone. It's too big for us to do it alone.
I'm going to stop you there. Thank you, and thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Mia, and thanks to Groot FM.
Ons is hier by die einde van die program. Ek hoop jy het iets geleer en ek hoop jy het 'n wonderlike dag verder.